Today I'm going to finish the fiber optic installation at my house, show you guys how to go about splicing this stuff. Stuff that unless you're a tech, most people have no idea how it's done. Check this out. So here we have the installer. He's getting the fiber ready to take up. He's getting everything all tied together. Now he's going to go up the ladder. And he's going to hang the drop and connect it to that port that's on the left side. So he clips in a safety line. I see when I have to do this work, not only do I have to put on a safety line, but I actually have a climbing belt that I wrap around the messenger as well. So when I do this work, I have two safety lines on, but I guess these guys, they just don't want the extra weight of the belt on. But I strap right in. This guy's brave. He wouldn't catch me doing that. I would have not only my fall arrest harness on, but also I have my climbing belt wrapped around the actual messenger when I do that type of work, because I do this as part of my day job. Every day I do this type of work. But in this case, the fiber deployment is being done, and they've got a lot of outside workforces in just to get this work done quickly. So this is a guy that works for a different company that's doing this. We'll see how well they did it when I complete the installation. We'll see if he's got the assignment right. Once he gets the fiber fished down the mast there, he's gone. His job is done. Then the next crew takes over. Well, here we have it today. I'm going to work on the fiber installation into my house. Now, I already showed you guys the video of the crew pulling fiber up the street, and I'm doing all my own inside work. And the reason I can film this for you guys today is because today's my day off. Today's a holiday. I get a new work truck tomorrow. So the boss says, why don't you take your truck home and unload all your tools and stuff and store them in your garage, because when I go down to the dealer tomorrow to get my new work truck, I have to transfer everything over. So all the big boxes of cable and fiber and all the PVRs and modems and crap that are all in multi-pack boxes, and all my ladders and stuff, I'm going to store them at my house overnight, so that it just gives me less stuff that I actually have to transfer from one truck to the next when I go to the dealership tomorrow, because you know they won't let me take the new truck until I drop the old truck off. So I have to move everything. So here I am on my day off, unloading my truck, and I thought, perfect opportunity. I've got all my tools. I've got a box of fiber. I'm gonna do this right. So what you haven't seen is that I've just spent the past about 2.5 hours running fiber all the way around my house to the back, and in through a vent in the back. And the other end of the fiber is in my equipment closet where the ONT is going to go, because I don't want mine installed in the garage like we would normally do. If it was a customer, the ONT would go right on the other side of the wall here and be connected by coax or by Cat5 back to the router. And in some occasions we'd run fiber around, but usually we can backhaul over coax, and that's usually the way it's done for time constraints. But for myself, I don't have any time limitations because I'm doing this on my own time. So here's the protector for right now, the copper that comes into the house, and that white coil you see, that is the new fiber that's coming off the drop that the installer that hung the drop left. The black one is what's going to go into the house. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put connectors on both ends and verify that we have continuity from one end to the other. So let's get started. So I generally set up my ladder as a workstation. I'm using the Corning splicing kit. There are different ones out there. The one that I use is a Corning. Very important. This is for the sharps, the pieces of fiber that get cut off, because these things are hazardous waste. So you want to make sure that you don't drop any of these around, because if a dog, for example, or an animal were to ingest it, that would probably be the end of that animal. This stuff is quite hazardous, and I know somebody's gonna have some opinion here about how hazardous it is. This is glass. It's not toss link. This is actually actual glass, and if you were to get stuck with it, it may not do anything. It may just form a callus and a bump in your skin, and you're lucky. But if that piece of glass gets into a vein or an artery and it breaks, it will travel through your circulatory system, and it could stick somewhere where you don't want it, such as in your lungs, and then you'll end up with a pulmonary embolism and most likely die, or worse, in your brain, and now you've had a stroke and you'll probably die. So this stuff here is hazardous stuff. Regardless what anyone tells you, it has to be treated with the ultimate respect, because this stuff is very fine. You'll see when I cleave this, the clippings that come off here are very, very fine. They're about the width of a human hair, and it's glass, so it will break. So you got to be careful with this stuff. Trained professionals only. Okay, first thing I do is I get my connectors out, and I'll have to go get another pack of connectors. I'm down to my last couple of connectors here. We'll do this one first. So the first thing I do is I prep the cleaver first of all. So this is the cleaver. The cleaver is used to cut the fiber at a proper angle so that it will splice onto the fittings. We're not doing fusion splicing here. These are just all mechanical splice. So we close the cleaver down. This is the jig that is used to cleave the fiber. And this is actually the device that does the actual splice. We put the fiber in here, the end goes in here, and then we basically push this button. And what this does is this turns this 90 degrees. It turns the cam 90 degrees, and that locks the fiber in, and then we crimp it. But first thing we have to do is load the end. So I take the connector off the end here. It's essential that this is kept clean as well. Make sure that this hasn't been cammed, which it hasn't. And then this connector fits into the application tool, and then we can turn it on. And if we get a flashing yellow light here, it's bad. If we get a green light, it's good. So that means that part's ready to go. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to prep the cable. I've got an awful lot of excess cable here, so I'm just going to trim it down to size. I don't need 10 feet of cable, but I will leave myself about 5. So I'm just going to cut it with my ultra sharp. These ones are actually Miller. I also have Klein, but these ones are Miller electrician's scissors. Exceptionally sharp for cutting fiber. Then I'm going to remove the sheath. So I'll remove about that much. So I'm just going to give it a little. There we go. See, you thought I cut the fiber there, right? But no, I just removed the sheath. Now this stuff here, this yellow crap, this is actually Kevlar. So we're going to remove that. Next, we need to expose the fiber, because this is still a sheath over the fiber. So next, we get the next tool. This has got 2 sizes on it. It's got one for removing the sheath and one for actually removing the coating on the sheath. So first things first, I'm going to put a boot over the fiber. This is actually easier today because I'm using my more powerful reading glasses. Normally I use a +1 when I'm doing this, and a pair I use at the shop here when I'm soldering is a +2. Just makes things a little easier to see up close. So this actually makes it easier for me to see what I'm doing. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the outer jacket from the sheath. So we just nick it like that, and then this will pull. Now, this is the optical fiber that I'm talking about that is, I don't know if you guys can see that or not, you should be able to see that, but that's the optical fiber there. And this still has a coating on it. I'm going to put it into the jig and line it up with the mark here on the end. That gives me my 12 millimeters. Then I use my tool again, and this time I'm going to use the finer point, and I'm going to remove that coating. So now I've removed the coating from the fiber. I now have to clean the fiber before I cleave it. So for that, we have a fiber wipe. Get some alcohol and just clean the fiber. Now the fiber is ready for cleaving. To cleave the fiber, I depress the two buttons on my cleaver. I insert the fiber through, and it's magnetic. It'll hold the fiber in place. Release the two buttons, press the cleave button, the blue one, and then the black button, and now I've left the piece. This is the piece that has to go into that sharps bin. So I'm not going to remove it from here until I'm done. So now I've got my cleaved fiber at the proper length, and remove it from the jig. Now this piece of fiber has to be threaded into the hole right there on the bottom. So, I don't know if I can see this on camera or not, but I can certainly see what I'm doing. I just push the fiber in through like that and push the button, and if I get a green light, it's good. If I get a red light, it's bad. I got a red light. Try that again. Make sure it's seated all the way. Green light. Then I turn this little clip here at the bottom, and everything is good. Got a green light still. I can open this up. Now without pressing this button, because that would uncam it, I'm just going to press the load button now, and that will remove the fiber. You can turn that off. Bring the boot up to the bottom of it here to protect it. And put on the actual connector. And that fiber is now ready to go. That's how simple it is. I'm going to do one of these on the other side and verify that everything's working. And then I'll do the other one for the fiber coming in. To verify that the fiber is working and that I don't have any damage to it, I have this laser that I'm going to, you can see that flashing, I'm sure. That laser, I plug it into here, and on the other end of the fiber I should see a red flashing light, which will indicate that there's been no damage during the pulling of this fiber, because it was quite a long pull through some conduits to get to the other end. So now I go to the other side and verify that the light is working, put the other connector on, and then we'll deal with this one. So let's go do that. Remember the sharps? We open up the sharps container, grab the piece of fiber, press the red button to remove it. There's the dangerous part, and dispose of that in the sharps container so nobody gets stuck with it. Now the other side of the fiber, I'm going to just splice in the shop here, because again, I've left myself lots of spare fiber. I can leave the other 10 feet or whatever coiled up in the closet there. Got to cut this one. So here's the fiber coming in. It should have the red light flashing on it, which you can of course see that it does. So the fiber is good. So we're going to put our connector on this end, and then I'll just leave this coiled up in the equipment closet, which is right next to the shop here, just on the other side of the hall. I'll have about 10 feet of wire, 10 feet of fiber coiled up, which is fine. It's better to have too much than not enough. I can just stuff this, actually I can stuff it into the into the void in the ceiling where it comes across the joist. So it doesn't matter. Let's say it's better to have more than not enough, because if you don't have enough, well, then you're doing it again. So again, connectors, the last one in this pack. So here's the splicing tool. Again, we'll get the connector out. Right with that connector, there it is. To reset the tool, and push the end through. Take the protective cover off. These will have the protective cover put back on until they're put in service, just to keep them clean. Load. Power on. No flashing yellow light. That's good. Turn on some more lights so I can actually see what I'm doing. Okay, if you coil this here, you'll actually see the light. If I coil it around, you'll see it. Anyway, it's there, it's working. Now it's bright in here. Yeah, it's still flashing. You can see it there. Or can you? Yeah, there it is. It's very directional. It's not like the fiber optic that you know, those toys, right? The fiber optic lights and stuff, right? This is the real stuff, not like the plastic stuff or Toslink. And this stuff, actually, the laser on the end at the what they call the let's see, OLT, the other end, is actually quite powerful, and you can't see it. It's infrared, right? I've got a visible laser on here now, but the laser at the other end is actually it can hurt your vision if you stare at this thing. It's invisible, and the light is strong enough that can damage your eyes. So you have to be kind of careful when working on this thing, on the outside plant especially, because if you undo a connector that's live, well, you can get exposed to infrared laser radiation, which can damage your vision if you're not careful. So once again, we'll clean. So as soon as I cleave this, it'll break it. Now, of course, the light is out, but now it's cut at the right angle to go into the connector. Probably easier without that light blinking. Green light. That means good. The reason I got the red light before is because the sun was shining on it, and I was getting so much interference from the sun that I was getting red light. It's funny, why am I getting a red light? I know I put this on right, but as soon as I shaded the fiber from the direct sun, the red light went away and the green light came on. So now we just undo that. Now you see that's what it looks like on the end. And Put that on. Put the rest of the connector on. And then I put, because I'm done with this for now until I finish the installation, I'm going to put a protective cover on here. And I'm going to wind this up and put it back in the closet. We'll go do the final splice for the incoming fiber and get that ready to go, so that the day that I switch over, which probably won't be that much longer, but the day I switch over from copper to fiber, I'll be able to just put my laser on the light on the fiber, go back to the cabinet, because the guys are never, it's everyone that I've done has been wrong. Like what they tell me assignment it's supposed to be on, it won't be. It'll be on a different fiber. The crew that have done the outside work, no comment. But yeah, let's go outside and finish it up. So inside the interface box, we put in one of these coupling units, which just snaps down in there, and that allows the fiber to pass through. So the fiber going into the house, which is here, it will be attached into one side of this and the rest of it coiled up inside, and the same for the incoming fiber. So say there's still copper in this box because I'm still on copper service. So we just take the fiber and we wind it around the inside of the box here, get it out of the way. It's a space to take up the excess. So just wind that around there, and then that takes up the excess slack, and then it'll just plug into this little piece I just stuck in there, which will optically couple the two connectors together. Once I've wound up the fiber, I just pull the cap off, take off the protection, and plug it in. Like that. And it'll snap into place. This way it keeps the fiber at its, without exceeding its minimum bend radius. You coil it up, because if you kink the fiber too sharply, it'll attenuate the light. So now I just have to do the same for this other extra long piece of drop wire. We'll just shorten this a bit because we don't need a drop that's long enough to reach my back door. Once again, oh, I got my Kleins in here now. Mine aren't that sharp, so I better keep the right ones in here. We'll just cut that. This is a different type of cable, so it's not the black clear curve, it's the white, still clear curve, but it's a different diameter. Same thing though, it's got Kevlar in it to protect the fiber itself. This is the aerial drop wire, and it actually has fiberglass rods on both sides of this in its drop form. It's got an outside sheath. New packet connectors. And make sure that they're always in the counterclockwise position, because sometimes these can turn and then they won't cam correctly in the machine. I've had that happen before. Make sure the machine's ready to go. Good, everything's good there. Fiber all the way in the shade, green light. Now, if this was connected at the other end and there was light on here, I'd put my light meter on and verify that it's working. I don't need to do that because it's dead on the other end, but I know that this is applied correctly because I do it right every time. That's what I do for a living, so if I can't do this right in my sleep, then there's a problem. Anyway, that's how fiber optics is spliced using the Corning opti snap system. There's lots of different systems out there. This is just a really reliable way of doing it. There's some of them out there that you just cleave it and you stick it on the end and you squeeze the connector together. I'm not a big fan of those. I like the ones that use the proper equipment. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one real soon.